Welcome everybody, Ralph Havens here. Welcome everybody, Ralph Havens here, autoimmuneanswers.com. And today's video session, I was up this morning around 6, actually woke up a little late, had to kind of handle what looked like an emergency for our house. We had a bit of an issue where we saw some water on the floor, but we figured it out and no problems. But I was up doing my meditation, and it's something that I do every single morning, many times waking up around 5, sometimes a little earlier, sometimes a little later. And I've been doing versions of this for many years. And I think part of it, my motivation for this was I used to have terrible anxiety, terrible social anxiety. I had a terrible sweating problem where my hands would sweat, my feet would sweat, my body would just break out in a total body sweat whenever I was stressed, and I was stressed a lot. And certain people, certain types of people triggered it, and certain situations and certain kinds of weather. And yet I somehow found myself becoming a physical therapist and then becoming an integrative manual therapist. So I had to put my hands on people all the time. And sometimes I wonder, why did I do that? Why didn't I go down a road where maybe I was a physical therapist and all I did was exercise people and I didn't have to touch them, or work in computers and never have to even shake hands with people? You know, why did I do that? Because I was under so much social anxiety and fear and rage running through my body. And, you know, if you looked back at my history, my childhood, you'd go, oh, well, no wonder, Ralph, look at how you were raised. Look at what happened. But I think I really actually remember thinking I wanted to solve this and not be some 80-year-old still dealing with sweaty hands and terrible anxiety. I would have even been okay with just getting rid of the sweaty hands and keeping all the anxiety and just hiding it, because I did a pretty good job, I think, of pretending and acting like I wasn't terrified all the time. So, but I started my own business and had therapists working for me, and I was doing stuff. And as I learned integrative manual therapy, the medical intuitive work that I ended up doing for studying for 10 years and 110 classes from 2000 to 2010, I liked this one technique. And it was a technique where you could put your hands on different parts of your body, different reflex centers, different places, and then leave them there for 20 minutes or more at a time, and clear stuff like rage or anger or hatred, or, you know, all these different things, fear, and different places on the body process different emotions, and there was ways to clear it. And then there was a technique to go back in time and to relive it, like hit delete and then hit rewind and play a new version. So I would go back and notice what had happened in my past, and then come forward and with a different reality. You know, so I was waking up at 5 every morning way back then, many years ago, and doing this one hand here, one hand there technique, and sitting up in the dark and doing that. And I think it was because I had this deep desire. I didn't want to live like that anymore. And I think maybe the reason I took all those classes where I had to touch people and worked on people as part of my work where to touch people, I think it was because I really wanted to bump up against that and change it, you know? So I use this technique, and I still use it, and I'm going to show you one version of it today that clears rage. Really good. The limbic system is a system in the brain, deep primal system that activates when you're under a lot of stress. Like if you were back in caveman days when a lion was coming to get you, and you'd have to like really get your adrenaline up and either run or fight. And the problem is most people, pretty much everybody, is living at a sub level of rage. But they look kind of normal walking around, going to cafes, going to work, but there's a deep inner rage going on. And then some people, it shows up as soon as somebody cuts them off on the freeway, and it's road rage. And now they're just like activated, and you see, oh, wow, that's a lot of rage. It's not like it just happened. It's like it's been there completely, just like, and then something happens and boom, it's activated, and they're activated. And other people, it's just, you know, a spouse might do that to them even though the spouse doesn't do that to them, but they have this low level of rage, and then something happens in a relationship, and then somebody's all activated and all full of rage. So most people are activated like that. Now the limbic system, the positive part of the limbic system, when you let go of rage, is ecstasy. So ecstasy is another thing, another emotion that another activity that can't be controlled. So rage, you can't like if you shoot a lion but you don't kill it, it's going to go into rage. And at that point, you can't say it's not anger. It's not anger. It's rage. And rage is uncontrollable. And so you can't say, oh, come on, lion, no big deal. I didn't mean it. Let's talk about it. Work through your anger. No, it's rage. And in much the same way, you can't talk therapy your way out of limbic rage, the rage that happens in the parts of your brain that are subcortical, below the regular parts of the brain. And in much the same way, ecstasy is like that, like an orgasm. You can't say, oh, don't feel that complete amazing ecstasy and bliss, kind of control it, or da 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 da. No, it's like uncontrollable, just like total. It just happens, and there it is. So you can't get to ecstasy. You can't get to ecstasy if you're dealing in rage. So this is good to clear, So I'll show you that in a minute. Now, on this video. Now, there's something that I also use, and I use it extensively all day long, throughout the day. I use it every morning in my meditation. And it's a way to go to what's causing that rage, what's causing it. Because there's something that happened, something that, some events that happened, some judgments about the events that happened, some stuff in the body that is activated. There's something that's causing it. And it's not something that you're going to get to with talk therapy. If you find out what it is and why it's there and all that, that's just the booby prize. As one of my coaches says, knowing why you have that rage and that rage, knowing why isn't going to solve it. You're not going to fix it. It's rage. It's like you can't talk yourself out of it. And but there is a way to go right to what that is and then clear it, to let it run itself out, to let it burn itself off. And it's a very specific way to do this. It's quite simple, but it's simple, and because of that, it causes people to discount it or to think, well, it can't be that, or that's just a waste of time, Ralph. But it's what I use personally. And so, and the people that do use this, my clients, the people working with me, the ones that use it have a way to go right to what's causing it, what's causing that rage, what's causing that problem, go right to it and clear it. And now this rage isn't activated. So something happens and there's like, yeah, I don't even feel anything in there. And you can test it right away and see, is it still there? And it's like, wow, no, it's not there anymore. And so then you have more of a chance to go to ecstasy, the other side of the limbic system, the other side of that part of the deep cortical, subcortical parts of the brain. So if you're interested in that, I've actually made 2 PDFs and a video, a full hour, where I worked with people using this so that you can get it. Because it's not something that if I just told you, you would get. You wouldn't do it, for one, and you wouldn't get it. But if you take the time, if it's something that interests you and you want to read about it a little bit, and then you want to actually practice it for an hour with a free video, then you can get it at ralphhavens.com/enlighten-up. And you can use it. And then from there, you can be directed to, I'll send you more stuff about ways to do even more advanced versions of all this to clear what's in the way of you getting rid of all this rage and connecting more to ecstasy. So, and getting more of what you want in life. So, so the first step is definitely to get this one technique. And it's like I said, it's not anything I can just tell you in a brief video, but if you're willing to take an hour and do a session, a free video session, and read about it in a couple of PDFs, you can do it and it can become part of your practice. Now, the technique that I used this morning is really easy. It takes some time, but it's cool to do. And you can do it when you're watching a little TV. You can do it when you're going to bed at night. You can do a lot of it. I've done hours and hours of this, and there's other reflex points that you can touch that clear a lot of stuff. But the one for rage is the rage center is right here, right here. I had a friend who had a lot of rage, and a bee came and stung him right here. I think it might have been trying to tell him something. But you take your fingers and you just wrap your fingers around that bridge of that nose, just like that. And then you take your other hand and you put it behind your back, right about the low back. In fact, exactly at the low back. And then you leave it there without letting go for 20 minutes. And if you do that, you'll feel a sense of release. You might get tired, you might start yawning, you might relax, you'll feel more at ease. And if you did 20 minutes many times over the next week, 20 minutes at a time without letting go, then you would be draining a lot of rage without having to know what it is or why it's there or anything about it. It actually clears the physical, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, and it's a process that you can do. It's a practice. And it's a thing that I used many, many years ago. Every once in a while, I still use that technique. It's really powerful. And if you want to go deeper with this and really get to what's causing it without having to know all of the story, but having a real way to go clear it, then go to the ralphhavens.com/enlighten up and let me know where to send the PDFs and the video. All right, so we're about to head to Olympia, Washington, our state capital, tomorrow, actually, for a hearing on Friday. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is going to be there. Del Bigtree is going to be there. Big hearing on our freedoms and our right to choose whether or not we vaccinate our children, and our rights to choose that we have a real say over what's done to our bodies medically. So if you feel called to, Jen and I would appreciate, we'd love to have your prayers, your energy, your thoughts this weekend, Friday, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific time. We'll all be there with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Del Bigtree, and hopefully thousands of people who want to keep our freedom to do what we want to do to our bodies and not be forced to do medical procedures to our children that we don't want done. So that's a big issue for us. I'm doing a lot of this process that I just talked about for that, so that I'm in a state of neutrality and can then make a bigger difference in the world. All right, everybody, ralphhavens.com/enlighten up, and grab the PDFs, grab the 1-hour video session, and let me know what you notice. Let me know what's different for you. All right, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and put this on Facebook Live in just a little bit. You can find me, Ralph Havens, on Facebook, and friend me as long as I still have room for friends. They have a limit of those, but you can find me and I, let me know. Send me a message, and so I know it's a real person. All right.